Assalamu alaikum. Today we will discuss about thermal decomposition of initiators. Previously, we have discussed about the role of different substituents, right? So they could be electron donating or electron withdrawing. At the same time, they the specific role of an initiator. Okay, so thermal thermally we can break the initiator or initiate the reaction through different ways. Homolytic dissociation of initiator is the most widely used form of radical formation, right? For to initiate polymerization, this is the one of the best kind of processing, either for the commercial polymerization or even for the theoretical studies. Such polymerization is called thermal initiated or thermal catalyzed polymerization. Okay, not every kind of a initiator is polymerized by thermal dissociation. There is a specific kind of a bond dissociation energy which is required to do such kind of a reaction processing uh, f- um, for thermal dissociation, right? So the specific energy which is required to fall in this category is from 100 to 170 kilojoule per mole, right? So the some compounds those are having very high or very low dissociation, are not suitable for such kind of a thermally thermal base or energy based heat based decomposition of initiators, right? So like you can take the example of oxygen sulfur with sulfur nitrogen oxygen. They possess desired dissociation to follow this such kind of a reaction. Okay, now we'll take certain example, uh, and one of the best example to fall in this category for thermal decomposition of peroxides. See, this is the one of the best class to considered as a thermally dissociated initiator to catalyze the radical polymerization. Okay, the first example of acetyl benzoyl peroxides. Okay, you can see here, like here we have oxygen with oxygen, which is the indication of the peroxide bond, right? So there's a cleavage between oxygen and oxygen bond, and you can see here, and we will get the two molecule of a acetic acid. It's not basically acetic acid. If the hydrogen attached, then it's become acetic acid. Okay, then we have benzoic acid, right? So actually, they are benzoyl peroxide, the derivative of benzoic acid, right? But when they decompose, they will act as the two initiators. Okay, similarly, you can take the example of alkyl peroxides. We have an example of cumyl tertiary butyl peroxide, right? The above one is the structure of cumyl, right? Here you can see, and the lower one is the tertiary one because carbons attached to the three carbon atoms directly, right? And we will get the structure, right? If you see the structure of cumene, you see we have a carbon with two methyl group, and that is attached to the benzene ring, benzyl ring, and having OH bond, right? So the upper one is the cumene hydroperoxide, and the lower one is the cumene structure, right? Okay, then we can take the example of hydroperoxide class. Right here, we can take the example of tertiary butyl and amyl hydroperoxides. You can see the two examples, right? So the above one is the tertiary butyl and the lower one is the amyl hydroperoxide, and they will generate two type of radicals, right? Here we have the similar kind of a two radicals, right? But here we have two different type of radicals, right? Still they are the peroxides because we have oxygen linkage here, but one is the hydroxyl group and another one is the main molecule. Okay, then the next category of per esters, you can take the example of tertiary butyl per benzoate, right? Again, there is a dissociation. The one thing is constant in every class of a thermally thermally decomposed initiator is they are they are having the peroxide linkage, oxygen linkages, and the bond always cleave from that point, and so we'll have a two different kind of a radicals, right? It could be symmetrical, as you can take the example of acetyl or benzoyl peroxide, or it could be asymmetrical, as you can take the example of esters. Okay, next we will discuss about photochemical initiation, right? To proceed the reaction, photo means light and chemicals, chemical change, right? So if we are using the light to change, to do the chemical reaction, that such kind of a reaction is called photochemical, right? And if it's initiated by the light could be of any source. You can use a visible light or a UV radiations, right? So we can proceed this such kind of a reaction. Okay, radicals by photochemical initiation, there are two ways to produce a radical. Number one is that the any compound will absorb the light and it get excited, and by excitation, for excitation they will absorb the energy. When they get absorb the energy, they will get the higher energy, and subsequent they will decompose to radical. This is the one way to form the radical. The other way is when some compound absorb the energy, it get excited, and that excited species strike with another molecule, and it may transfer the energy to that one, right? Or maybe there will be a transfer of energy or a redox reaction, right? So they will form a redox radical. So there are two chances: either the first compound get excited at first place, may form into the radical, or may the other one which is getting in the energy after striking with the first one. So there are two possibilities here. Okay, the terms that we're using in the photochemical initiation reaction is the photosensitizers. What are the photosensitizers? They are the substance that either increase the rate of photochemical polymerization or shift the wavelength towards the polymerization occur, which is more appropriate to occur. Okay, there are certain advantages of photochemical reactions, and to use any chemical in the form of photosensitizer. Number one advantage is the they are having the specific direction. Where from where they are getting the energy, at that point we will get the polymerization, because the only source of initiation is the light. So we can confine the light to the specific region, and similarly the polymerization, where we are the point where we are not getting any light, so we will not get any kind of a polymerization. Okay, the second one is you can control the light, control the reaction of polymerization by turning on and off the light source, right? Similarly, initiation rate is very fast. And the fourth point is we can control the reaction by three different ways. Number one, by the source of radical. Number two, by light intensity. You can increase the intensity and similarly decrease it as well. And then the temperature, right? Okay, and the next point is because we're using photochemical source initiator, so there is no requirement of a solvent, and when we're not using any kind of a solvent, which is that make it economical one and the environmental friendly as well. And there is a limitation associated with this photochemical initiation. Polymerization is one of that light has a limited what we can say, it has a specific amount of it can penetrate to at specific level. It cannot penetrate to the very deep and a very dense material, right? So the thickness is the one of the main factor. The light cannot penetrate to the very depth of the materials, right? So it's excellent process for very surface and a thin layer for coating and the printing and the painting materials, right? If you want to polymerize such kind of a thin surface layer applications, right? The alternate way to make it more suitable is to use the laser light source, right? Laser light sources become important because of what? Because they are having the light is more focused and more intense in laser, right? So what they are doing, that is more intense, having the high intensity, and they can increase the reaction rate high. They can improve the imaging resolution. They can deep penetrate into the substance, right? So what will happen in while we're using the laser light? So when any M compound gets the energy, it become excited. The static sign is is the sign of excitation, and then excited will decompose into two different radicals. This is happening by the source of a laser light, right? So usually absorption occur above 200 nanometer in the UV region, right, by laser light.